Hey everybody, welcome to Weekend Gameplan with Marcus Hersh. I'm Dan Illman alongside DRF handicapper and analyst Marcus Hersh. 3 more Saturday game plan spot plays on tap. We're looking for another positive ROI weekend. Marcus, of course, gave out 8K Indienne in last week's Fountain of Youth. The first is the big cap, the granddaddy of them all, Marcus. Well, maybe it's not the granddaddy of them all anymore, but still the big cap, a historically important race. Let's throw up the field. We're going 1.25 miles, and of course, it's a grade 1. Giftbox won this race last year, and it's kind of been an interesting road for Giftbox. Sort of a once promising 3-year-old for Chad Brown turned into a middling allowance horse for Chad Brown, into a pretty nice handicap horse for John Sadler.
Yeah, he had I'd say he had a very good 2019. Just to backtrack briefly, I believe you also selected Ete Indienne in the Fountain of Youth. So pat yourself on the back too, unless I'm mistaken about that. But back to Giftbox. Yeah, he has had an interesting career. And I think that he deserves credit for putting together a solid, if less than spectacular, 2019 campaign. His lone failure coming when he went out on the road, which seems to happen quite frequently with horses from the barn of John Sadler. They often seem to run better at home for whatever reason. This horse, no exception. He's the deserving favorite in this race. We are running out of handicap races in American racing. Not too many of those anymore. This is kind of a throwback because this horse is carrying 126 pounds and he is conceding what I would say a very meaningful weight to several horses in the race. I do feel like he has this patina of invincibility over him right now that I don't think is completely merited. I know his San Antonio was strong. He beat King Abner at midcourt. Midcourt is back here, having come back to win the San Pasqual very, very nicely. But a couple things, the weight, the fact this horse is 7, he hit a peak last year. I don't see him getting any better than that. Maybe he'll have the same kind of year. Maybe he won't. Maybe he'll be a little less effective. And also the fact he doesn't have to be on the lead, but he likes to race prominently. That's just how he goes. And I think there's quite a bit of speed in this race. Put it all together, I thought the Giftbox was a potentially vulnerable favorite in the big cap.
No, that's a distinct possibility. Midcourt, who didn't really get off to the greatest of starts when and against Giftbox last time out, might provide some pace heat, and that could set things up for a stalker or a closer. And your selection in here is the number 8, Endorsed. And we'll go back to Endorsed's most recent win at Gulfstream Park off of the layoff. And I just thought this was a perfect prep. He had to work a little bit. I think it sets him up beautifully for the big cap. And the way he goes, he just seems like he acts like he wants to run all day long.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm going to throw another pace factor in here, Dan, too, in this turf to dirt horse Brown Storm, who, ran really effectively. And if you go back 3 starts ago, his first North American start, he tracked a very hot mile pace, and then last time set a strong pace going 1.25 miles and ran his best race. I think they might want to employ similar tactics. I expect he'll not want to take kickback and also be going forward. Regarding Endorsed, I never was a huge fan of this horse. I don't know how good he's going to be this year. I don't have super high expectations, and I also wish he had one more race. I totally agree with what you said about the allowance comeback race. I think it was a very useful race because he didn't just get to blow by the field and then dawdle the last 3/16 of a mile. He was asked and had to run hard for about 1/4 mile and then was eased up across the wire after he had already won the race. And I watched all his work since then that were available, and he worked with True Timber and Company. That was his major work, that February 14th drill. I thought he went much better in company than he did solo, which, he's a competitor, I guess. And then as far as, more video stuff, just they had a gallop of him going over Santa Anita where he shipped early, I guess, or at least a few days ago. And he looked really comfortable. I thought he looked more comfortable on that surface even than at Palmettos. So I thought that was a good sign because that can be a somewhat tricky track. At least it has been over the last, little while. He's going to need a pace, but he gets 11 pounds from the favorite here. And yeah, you mentioned the distance. I think 1.25 miles is absolutely no problem at all. He wants at least that far. And I think based on his Travers, where I noticed that he ran the fastest middle half mile in that race and then came again at the very end. And that race is looking pretty decent with the way Mucho Gusto has run so far this year. I think that Endorsed just might be good enough to pull an upset.
And he might get the right trip, and he's going to be the right price. I believe he's 6-1 on the morning line. We'll get back to Santa Anita, but we have to move down to Tampa Bay. The Tampa Bay Derby is the main event on a really nice card on Saturday. Let's throw up the field. It's your Saturday DRF race of the day, which means that free Formulator Pass performances are waiting for you on the Race of the Day event page at DRF.com. Download them, handicap along with us. Chance It, scratched out of the Fountain of Youth. They didn't like the post position. Well, the horse in the widest post position ended up winning the Fountain of Youth anyway. I usually don't like playing horses when it's plan B.
Oh, exactly. I mean, that's never a good thing to me. So yeah, I'm anti-chance. You referenced Formulator. There have been a lot of recent enhancements with Formulator. Like these are meaningfully good things. I do encourage everybody to give that product a look. It's always been one of DRF's strongest assets, and it's only getting better. Please do check it out if you're not currently using those. Chance It was not exactly flattered by as seen on TV. Now, this whole concept of flattery and who runs well and which race coming back against whom, I mean, that's fraught with difficulty. It's not always that meaningful, but as seen on TV did not cover himself in glory in the Fountain of Youth for whatever that is worth. He did beat his return rival Soli Volante in the Mucho Macho Man, a one-turn mile. Now, I think Chance It, Dan, I don't think there's any arguing was a very talented 2-year-old. He made a nice impression as a 3-year-old, digging in to come back and beat as seen on TV in the Mucho Macho Man. I just don't know, I mean, how much more he's going to give and how far he's really going to go. I know he won the in reality division of the Florida Stallion Stakes by a pole, but I mean, Smash Factor, the horse he beat, is a sprinter. Liam's Lucky Charm, it looks like a sprinter now. I just can't see him excelling, in 2-turn races. I think he's going to end up being a more effective horse at 1-turn miles and shorter. I also think there is plenty of early pace in here to make him work hard. And I just think the race is going to set up like the Sam Davis did, where Soli Volante gets to, sit back, make one big run, and just pass all these tiring speed horses. I really like this horse too.
Great segue into Soli Volante, Sam F. Davis. We're going to take a look at that race right now. Now, he made this big inside move, leaving the backstretch into the turn. Luca Panici did everything right, got him to the 2-path, got him to the outside, and now he's looking the favorite, Independence Hall, right in the eye, and he runs right by Independence Hall. Now, Independence Hall was up close to that pace, but I just like the way Soli Volante was able to sustain that rally, and he was getting away from those horses at the end. He looks like the real deal right now.
I totally agree. And you hit the points that I was going to make too about the way he finished the race off. I thought it was a very comfortable victory, not too taxing on him at all. And from the look of his workout since then, he has not lost his edge in any way, shape, or form. Caraconti out of a King Mambo mare. I mean, who would think this is a dirt horse on pedigree? But he hasn't just done it once where a horse can trick you and handle dirt when they don't really want it. He's now done it twice, showed his distinct preference for 2 turns over the 1-turn mile. I think this horse, despite having run improved races in his last 2, still is brimming with upside. And I'm not sure which one of Patrick Biancone's 2 3-year-olds, Ete Indian, or this one is the better. Really interested to see him run. And the reason that I put this horse in as a play is I'm not sure that everyone is going to share this opinion. I think that there may be more skepticism about this horse, and I think people may be latching on to Chance It, which is fine. Maybe he'll go out and prove me wrong, but I do think that this horse could go off at slightly higher than his 2-to-1 morning line odds. That at least is my avid hope.
Certainly a fair point. Chance It, I believe, has 490 or greater buyer speed figures on his resume. The Kilroe Mile is at Santa Anita. Let's throw up the field. It's a Grade 1 race, and these Southern California turf horses. They just seem to take turns beating each other, and, you got Stormy on paper is way the mare to beat. That is, if you could somehow say, I'm willing to forgive the last race. And there's nothing about that last race that I'm willing to forgive. Now, maybe she threw a fit in the paddock and she just wasn't comfortable, but she's got to at least run second in that race, right?
This is like if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it might well be a duck sort of situation where, like, she had this awesome 2019 campaign. I gave her the tiniest edge for an Eclipse Award over Uni, who wound up being champion, which was perfectly fine with me. And they came back. They did the post Breeders' Cup move where they went back to Florida, came back to California, won the Matriarch, which was a great move. I mean, she beat good horses there, ran a fine race. But I mean, that to me, that is what seems like is more likely responsible for the way she ran in the Endeavor than any of the other peripheral stuff that's been mentioned. I know she's come back. She's worked very fast. I didn't love the way the visual on that work was, the 45-second in company work at Palm Meadows. And I just am completely looking to play against her. I don't know where the morning line of 5-2 comes from. I do not think she's anywhere close to that high. I think she will be a distinct favorite. And while I liked River Boyne in his last race, his price is probably going to go down too. He got a perfect trip last time. He's not backed that performance up with anything comparable to it recently. I just thought it was a race where both the heavy favorite, and the second choice were beatable.
And I think you want to look for a new face often in these Southern California turf races. Selwood, the number 5, just has a ton of upside potential. And I kind of like the way he finished off his most recent race. Let's take a peek at it right now. Selwood got a nice trip overall, but he's in behind horses. He's going to get to the outside in those red silks right now. And he is really running the last 16th of a mile. He did hop back to his left lead, so sort of got, impeded onto that when that 5-horse came out on him. I'm not worried about that at all. I like the way he's extending here.
Yeah. He's not great with lead changes. If you go back through his entire career and watch his works, he's a little slow to change. And I think it's just a little flub that he does, in the way he goes around turns and straightens up. But I mean, it's not an impediment. To me, Dan, just when he got to the outside and got clear, I saw that that really push button acceleration you want to see in a turf miler that could win a race like this. And I mean, yeah, he's 5, he's 3 for 17 lifetime, but if you go back through his entire career, he showed promise from the start. I just think that everything got way off track last year when he ended up in Kentucky. I mean, he ran 3 duds, didn't go anywhere. He didn't run at all in Kentucky Downs. If you just put an X through that part of his form, I mean, he's got a maiden win, a 1 other than win, a good second and a 2 other than, and then an excellent 2 other than win. I mean, to me, that's a horse that can step up. And if God Stormy doesn't get back to her 2019 form, run every bit as good as that mishmash of SoCal turf milers that you have previously mentioned.
And you are getting double-digit odds, I would guarantee, on Selwood in the Kilroe Mile, an up-and-comer to be sure. There you have it, 3 weekend game plan plays from Marcus. To reiterate, in the big cap, it's Endorsed. The Tampa Bay Derby, Soli Volante. In the Kilroe Mile, it is Selwood. Best of luck with your wagers this weekend.